Hi friends, welcome back to another week's What's for Dinner. I just wanted to take a moment to thank each and every one of my subscribers for watching my videos, leaving any likes and comments. They truly do mean the world to me. So if you'd like to join my YouTube family, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any future What's for Dinner videos. I've got 3 recipes for you this week, just like every week. And if you try anything, you should really try the frozen burrito enchilada casserole. It's super quick, super easy, and very delicious. I've been eating it for a long time. It's something my family has made for years. So check that out. Let's get started. This first recipe is a burrito casserole with Spanish rice. I'm going to start off by prepping some of my ingredients, which is going to be some grated cheese, and here I'm just grating up some pepper jack, and I'll also be grating up some Colby Jack, not on camera here. Next I will be grating up some of this yellow onion, and I think this is about a half of a medium yellow onion, and this is going to be for the Spanish rice. I've started off by heating my pan over medium-high heat, and I'm adding 3 tablespoons of canola oil to that. And once that is hot, I'm going to add in my rice, and this is 1.5 cups of white rice. I'm going to stir that around to coat it with all of the oil and go ahead and let that brown. You're going to want to continuously stir this rice so that it doesn't burn, making sure not to walk away from it. Once that has started to get a nice golden brown color, you're going to go ahead and add in your diced onions to that and just stir it all together and get those onions sauteed in that to start to get a little bit translucent. And once that is ready, I'm going to go ahead and sprinkle some cumin on top of that. It's about maybe 1/4 teaspoon of cumin. And next I'm adding in an 8-ounce can of tomato sauce, and I'm going to coat all the rice with the sauce. Next, you're going to add in your water. I'm doing a 2-to-1 ratio, so I'm adding 3 cups of water for my 1.5 cups of rice. And I've added some bouillon to that water to dissolve it. And I ended up using about 2 to 2.5 cubes of bouillon. You'll want to taste your water because that will be what your rice will taste like. So just go ahead and bring that to a boil, and then place your lid on and lower your heat to a low for a low simmer. You're going to cook that for 25 minutes, and then when it's done, you're going to let it rest for 10 minutes, making sure not to remove the lid. Here I just have some sliced olives that I'm going to be placing on the casserole, as well as some onions that I want to put inside of the sauce. So just go ahead and chop up some extra onion, and you're going to go ahead and just saute those till they're translucent. I probably cooked them in about 1 tablespoon of oil over medium heat for just a couple minutes. Next, I am opening up a 28-ounce can of enchilada sauce. I'm using green chili sauce. You can use the red if that's what you prefer. And you're just going to go ahead and pour a layer of that sauce onto the bottom of a 9x13 baking dish. Next, I'm just taking this package of frozen burritos. I'm just using bean and cheese here. You can use whatever flavor you like. And then you're just going to go ahead and place those on the bottom of your baking dish. Next, I am just pouring the remainder of that enchilada sauce on top of all of the burritos. This was a little bit extra sauce. These made them definitely the wet burritos, but you could probably get away with 2 of the 10-ounce cans. And next, I'm just going to go ahead and add on those onions that I had sauteed earlier on top of those burritos on an even layer. Then go ahead and place a layer of cheese on top. Use whatever cheese you do like and as much as you would like. I like a lot of cheese, so that's what I'm adding here. lastly, I'm just going to go ahead and top that with those sliced olives. If you don't like olives, you can easily leave them out. Now I'm just covering my baking dish with aluminum foil, and I'm gonna place that in my oven at 350 degrees, and I baked that for around 40 to 45 minutes, and on the last 5 minutes I went ahead and put that on the broil setting to get the cheese nice and dark and bubbly. Top these bad boys with some sour cream, and this was so amazing and super easy to make. Next recipe is a lemon roasted chicken and some easy Instant Pot mashed potatoes. First, I'm going to start off by making the rub for the chicken, and I'm going to start off by zesting 1 whole lemon. Next, I will be taking 2 tablespoons of butter that I had to soften in the microwave, making sure not to melt it completely, but just soften. To that, I am adding 2 tablespoons of olive oil and all of the zest from that lemon. Now I'm just slicing my lemon in half. I'm going to be using half of it right now for this rub and half of it later for the inside of the chicken. So I'm just going to take my half a lemon and put the juice into this rub mixture. Next, I will be adding in 3 to 4 cloves of minced garlic. Lastly, I'm adding salt and pepper to taste. I believe I'm just adding 1 teaspoon of salt, some grinds of black pepper, and 1 teaspoon of Italian seasoning. Next, I am taking a 5-pound chicken that has been cleaned, and I'm cutting a slit into this skin, and I'm going to gently use my hand to lift the skin from the chicken breast and place about 1 tablespoon of the butter mixture under the skin, and go ahead and just massage that evenly across the breast. Next, I am just taking the remainder of that butter mixture and I'm rubbing it all over the skin of my chicken. Now I had just sliced up the remainder of the half of a lemon, and I've also taken the remainder of the part that I squeezed the juice from, and I'm also placing that inside of the chicken. Here is where things got a little tricky for me because I didn't have the twine for the chicken legs to keep them together. So I'm using a method that I saw online where you cut the skin and you use the skin to hold the legs down. But I did tear some of my skin, so that was an issue I had. It would be easier next time I was doing it though. I went ahead and placed that chicken into the air fryer basket of my Omni Plus because I'm going to be making it in there, but I will leave the directions in the description for the oven. I'm getting started on the Instant Pot mashed potatoes. Here I'm adding a half a cup of liquid. I believe I added about a teaspoon of better than bouillon to that, and I've added my 1.5 to 2 pounds of red potatoes in there, and I'm just gonna cook those at high pressure for 10 minutes. And once those are done, I am just going to mash them up. I didn't remove all of the skins. It just would have took too much time, and I don't mind the skin. If you do, you can let them cool a bit and go ahead and peel those off. I just picked some of the easy to pull off skins once breaking them apart out of the pot. To the amount of potatoes that I made, I am adding in 2 to 3 tablespoons of butter, and I'm just mashing that in so it can start to melt. And then you're going to go and add some sour cream. I believe I used about a 1/4 cup of sour cream, so it could be about a 1/4 cup to a 1/2 cup depending how much potatoes you used. Next, you will add in your salt and pepper to taste. I believe I used about a 1/2 to 3/4 teaspoon of salt, and then gonna add in some garlic, and I used maybe about 3 cloves of garlic in this. And now I'm just mixing that all together, and I'm going to place the lid back on my Instant Pot just to keep those warm while my chicken finishes cooking. I also felt like having some air fried zucchini, so here I am just cutting up around 2 zucchinis, and I'm going to go ahead and place some seasonings on those. I have no real exact measurements for this, so I just poured a little bit of oil on them, some garlic salt, some Italian seasoning. And I'm gonna go ahead and mix those together and just place them in my air fryer basket. Air fried those really quick while my chicken was resting. This was my first time roasting a whole chicken, and we were definitely not disappointed. It was super yummy. Next recipe is steak stir fry and noodles. For this recipe, I'm just trying to use up some vegetables that I already had on hand instead of going to the store to buy some new ones specifically for the recipe. So I'm just using up a couple whole carrots that I had here, as well as some baby carrots that I had. So I'm just dicing those up into bite-sized pieces. I also had 2 zucchinis, so I'm also dicing those up into some bite-sized pieces. I really do like broccoli in my stir fry, but I didn't put it in this time because I wanted to use these vegetables up. But I actually did end up adding broccoli to my leftovers for it the next day. So I would definitely recommend adding broccoli if you would like some additional vegetables in this recipe. For this, I'm going to be using about a pound of this thin beef round steak. And I'm just going to be cutting that up into thin strips. I actually would have preferred them to be thinner, so next time I do this with this cut of meat, I will be making them thinner strips. Once the steak was all cut up, I am just going to coat all the steak with some cornstarch. So here I'm adding 2 tablespoons of cornstarch, and I'm just going to stir that around to coat that. This will help to keep your meat soft and keep the moisture inside. And I'm also adding some salt and black pepper. Next, I'm just going to be adding that meat to a large pan that I've heated 2 tablespoons of oil in over medium-high heat. So I'm just going to go ahead and move that meat around to an even layer across the pan and let that cook. I'm going to stir that occasionally just so it can brown on all sides. And I believe I cooked that for around 3 to 5 minutes, depending on the thickness of your steak. Once that was done, I'm just transferring that to a bowl to set aside because I'm going to be using the same pan to cook all of my vegetables. So to that pan, I'm just adding a couple tablespoons of oil, and I'm going to add in all of my diced carrots and diced zucchini to that, and I'm going to go ahead and just cook that until it's my desired doneness. I would say that after cooking the vegetables for around 4 to 5 minutes, they were a nice tender crisp. So once that was at that point, I went ahead and added in some of this stir fry sauce, and I'm just using a bottled kind here because it's what I have on hand. You are more than welcome to make your own stir fry sauce. It's really easy. And I just gave that a good stir to coat all the vegetables with the stir fry sauce, and then I'm adding in my steak to that, and I'm going to give that a stir as well to coat that. I also decided to off camera cut up some of that cooked steak. It was already cooked, but I just chopped it up a little bit to smaller pieces, so what I would prefer. And I also like my sauce to be a little sweeter and with a little more soy sauce flavor, so I added in just a couple good pinches of brown sugar and a little bit of extra soy sauce, and I'm just stirring that in there. I also decided to cook these lo mein noodles that I needed to use up, so I just did that really quick. I did have this leftovers with white rice, and it was way better that way, but this was super good. Thanks so much for watching, friends. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you can be a part of my YouTube family and so you don't miss out on any future What's for Dinner with videos.